Afternoon everybody. Post running in update for you. That's the second stage, 1250 miles. In fact, we're on just over 1400 miles now. What can I tell you? Everything's been fine, although I did think there was an issue, but it seems that issue was with me. On the ISDT run, the if you like, the main run to Fairbourne and Barmouth, when we was trying to find if we could still cross over the railway bridge with motorbikes, which doesn't look like you can anymore, we was approaching Fairbourne Point, and I thought it was the wind, because it was really windy, so you'd shut off and it was like, ooh, wallop, and then pull away and it was a bit jerky. And after we got off the point, I thought, hang on a minute, this is a bit, well, weak really, you know, and stuttery, and I thought, oh, odd. Anyway, we got off the point and we pulled over, and Gary said there was a lot of smoke coming out the back. Okay, and running rich, and wasn't in a very good place, and tried her again, and difficult to start, to be honest. Would start, but a bit of playing around. And what I've found with me 535 GT Smelly is that when I bought her, I was told that the enrichment lever, the one down here, some might call it a choke, it's not really that. I was told you don't really need to use that unless it's really cold. Now with the GT, I never give it a thought really. I tend to spin up the engine, get a little bit of throttle, and off she goes, a couple of blips and runs nice. So I've never really used the enriching lever. So I had a look around the bike and I was about to take the plug out. I mean, what much else can you do really, apart from check connections and stuff? So I had a look round what we could see without taking anything off, and no obvious issues. Just tried it once more and fine. It was fine since, until the other day. Now I was going out and I was expecting a call from the insurance regarding Webley, and that's nice driving, well done, well done, you plank. So after the call I started her up again, or tried to, and she wouldn't start. I thought, that's odd, she's warm now. Now of course with most electronic fuel injections you don't touch anything, you just press the button. A new old, well, I suppose sister really, sibling we'll say, hopefully to arrive within the next week. So we'll be starting the running in again on another, no, not another, a continuing adventure you might say. Hopefully that adventure will progress a little bit more. Today, there's the demo. Ooh, nice quack. Proper colour for a Kawasaki. Well, almost. Anyway, we're going to have a word about the next part of a certain adventure, if you can call it that. Hopefully we get progress, and more on Johnny in a mo. Well folks, that's hopefully that other adventure will continue middle to the end of next week. Arguably the best pub around here, we call that the Bull and Bladder. Those are the sponsors of TT Rider, amongst other races, Michael Rutter. This is called the Delph Mile, although it's not quite a mile, and there's a lot less pubs than there used to be, but there's still a few. I mean, that's is it 2? 1 less. Shame. It's about 3 pubs a week close, you know, in England. On the right here we've got the Delph Locks. Used to be 9 in a row. Now there's only 8, and has been for some years. Is that pub still open? Doesn't look like it, does it? Geez, the tank's still here, look, there we are, the tank. Funny colour now. Right, enough sightseeing. What do I like about Johnny the most? I don't know really. It's hard to say, because it's just a good bike all round. Somebody asked me this morning, I think they asked me, anyway it was on Facebook, might have been a general question, which bike to go for, the Himalayan or the Trials Bullet. In the end he came up with the answer himself, by both. Now I can't say anything really about the standard Bullet. They have some good selections of bikes there of all ages. The Bullet from the cheapest version with like the angular rear mudguard, to the classics and the different variants, including the trials. I can't say anything about the others, but the trials, of course, I can. I mean, 1400 miles in. It's a good bike. It's a solid bike. Like all Royal Enfields, apart from the twins, of course. Now, if you want to go fast, and of course there are faster bikes than the twins, look elsewhere. If you want something that's nippy and perfectly capable of handling modern traffic up to, well, at least 70, I can say that with experience, although only a little bit, because I haven't been on a ride where the higher speeds have come into it really yet, only a little bit of a trial. But if you want something like that, the Bullet 500 is fine. It's so torquey. It's the torqueyest of the three. The two, of course, I've got at the moment, and the one that I did have. Top end speeds though, I can tell you that this does get a bit buzzy through the bars at about 58. At about 64 it smooths out again. But then you hit another problem. Well, not really a problem, it's just a fact really. The bike is more sit up and beg than a normal Bullet. The bars are slightly higher, only slightly, maybe an inch I'd say. You are bolt upright, therefore all the wind hits your chest, and when you get to like 65, and bear in mind I have had bikes that are sit up and beg in the past, customs, what have you, but for many years I've had either bikes that are faired, partly faired. I think we've picked a bad way to go that way, we'll go the other way. So faired, partly faired, got a screen on, or at the very least like smelly, head down, arse up a little bit. So the wind on your chest is not really an issue. You may get buffeting on the helmet, but the force on your chest is nothing really. Of course, with a bike like this, the force on your chest is there. Having said that, I think it'd sit at 70 all day. Top end, if you lay on the tank a bit, get down a bit, and that's if you like a comfort thing as well because of the wind on your chest. I guess how you get used to that. I would say maybe 80, but of course that ain't what it's about. If you want dual everything, handles quite well, quite nippy, carries stuff, 2 seats, can go off tarmac a bit, go for a Himalayan. The Himalayan's big thing is its dual ability. Again, you know, you're looking at 80 mile an hour or just over if you wring its neck, but again, it's not what it's about. On the other side of the coin, if you like, it is only a 411cc, so it's doing actually better. So overall, my thoughts about the Trials replica Bullet: it's a cracking machine. It's smooth for a single with no balancer shaft. It's pretty smooth. Said before, there's a bit of vibe there when it's on tick over. It's pretty as smooth as, well, I can't say everything because I've not ridden everything, but just to put it into words, it's pretty smooth, very smooth really, up to sort of 50, 55. Then it gets a bit buzzy through the bars, and I suppose a bit through the seat more, and a bit through the foot pegs more, but the bars is the most notable. And it smooths out again at 64.5. And bear in mind, there's no fancy mounting of the engine, there's no balancer shafts. I suppose the easiest way to look at it is to say, what don't I like? Well, what do I like the worst? It's one of two things, and one's not really the bike's problem. The one is probably down to Euro 4, to guess, but it does have a plus point as well, so yeah. I'm going to have to say my least favourite is cleaning, but that's the same with any bike. The beauty of the Himalayan, you can keep it looking quite well just by giving it a good wash over with a jet wash, but obviously don't get too close to seals and stuff. With this, there's a lot more chrome, although it's not too bad, and generally I've only cleaned it with a bit of furniture polish, so I just don't like cleaning bikes. Of course, if you want to keep them looking good, you've got to clean them, but I've been lucky so far. I ain't had to do too much. The other thing that is up there with cleaning, but not quite, perhaps, is the fuel filler. It's shapes now for the small nozzle of the unleaded pump nozzles. And you can't see what's going on. Therefore, if you're not looking what you're doing and the pump doesn't shut off, it's potentially a petrol fountain. Plus side is you won't be able to get the diesel nozzle in, I suppose. I suppose the niggly bit about it is it's so slow to fill because you've got to take your time and keep an eye on it. What would I like as a standard feature? Locking fuel cap would be nice. The one that's on looks very traditional and all, but it doesn't lock. Mind you, I suppose these days folks are more bothered about pinching the bikes than pinching the petrol. And I suppose the real issue is somebody puts something in your tank that's not supposed to be there. A trip meter, I suppose, yeah, I'd like a trip meter. It's just the fact that I can just keep an eye on the fuel consumption while Johnny's still new. I'll give you an idea of that. Incidentally, the last few trips have been mostly up to around 50 miles an hour with a lesser amount of commuting. She's returned 90 to the gallon, so that's 4 less than doing up to 40 mile an hour and half throttle of the up to 300 mile period of running in. Up to 1250, and it was actually done around the 900 to about, I don't know, 1050 miles the check was done. Because it'd be a lot easier to do it by just resetting your trip and knowing exactly where you are, rather than just having to get the phone out, take a picture of your clock before you start your check, and then do it the same again at the end. Clock would be nice. I don't know if you know, I can't remember now what I said, but I've had put one on myself. Like I bought the GT, I bought a cheap Casio from Argos and put it on. And with this one I don't need any tape to tick up the slack. It just fits nicely there on the master cylinder, and I can still see the level as well. 40 mile an hour, we're in top. 40, 45, I'm using about half throttle, 3/4 throttle. 55. There's the buzzing. 60. And I can put up with the buzzing, you know, as long as you've got thickish gloves on through the bars. You do get a feel that you want a 6th gear, but it's pretty good. I mean, it pulls from nothing torque-wise, and it goes, well, we'll wait till when it won't go no more, I should think, but the way it gets up to 60, say, there's no drop off at all there, and I wasn't wringing a neck. I think 80 is more or less a given. Again, as I said, you'll have to probably lie on the tank a little bit, or that's more to do with like the feel of being blowed off the back. But then again, you may be used to that. I'm not, after many years, as I said, of bikes with different riding positions. I think I've waffled far too much as usual, so I think we'll call it quits with that one. Short story, summary if you will. Great bike, as long as you treat it for what it's meant for, i.e. not expecting to go 150-60 mile an hour, not expect it to be as good off tarmac as a Himalayan or, oh, I don't know, any purpose-built scrambler or trials bike. It hasn't got the ground clearance for that, but for tame green roading it's fine. Hope to do a bit more. If you want speed, power, forget it. If you want a talky little engine and plenty miles to the gallon, it's the bike for you. And I dare say that goes for the other versions of the Bullet as well. So, on that note, bye for now.